Okay. So, we're going to get these things set up ahead of time. Maybe we have to maybe start setting up before we greet the deities, because I never know where I'm going to get tied up here. But I'd really like to have things in order and set up and ready to go by 7:45, so that we can actually just move on it. Okay, let's start now. Yeah, we're online. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Ballabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Ballabha Girivardhari Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we are reading today from the Srimad-bhagavatam, 8th canto, chapter 5. There's several verses together, only the last one has a purport. So from We'll read from 7 to 16. 16 has a purport. And we'll try to speak something. Shashtash cha chakshu Shashtash cha chakshu sha putrash Chakshusho namavai manu Puru purusha sujumna Pramukash chakshusat majaha Shashtash cha chakshusha putrash Chakshushu namavai manu Puru purusha sujumna Pramukash chakshushat majaha Shashtash cha chakshusha putrash Chakshushu namavai manu Puru purusha sujamna Pramukash chakshushat majaha Shashtash cha chakshusha putrash Chakshusho namavai manu Puru purusha sujumna Pramukash chakshushat majaha Chakshushat putrash Chakshusho namavai manu Purusha sujumna Pramukash chakshushat majaha I'm no expert at these, but just for the knowledge. The dot, the S with the dot under it, and the S with the accent or the mark over it. They're both like SH, but if you try to do it, it says the S with the dot under it is spoken like the S, like sh and shine, and the S with the line over it, that doesn't help much. It refers to a German word, but I don't know the word German. But anyway, there's sh, and then there's with the tongue on the roof of the mouth. Sh, sh, sh. It's a slight difference, but that's the way it's described. In the back of the book, the Sanskrit pronunciation is there. Yeah. Also, the back of the Eastern Upanishad and the Bhagavad Gita, the larger one, maybe not the small paper one. And these are there. Okay. So, word for word synonyms. Okay. Shashtaha, the sixth. Cha, and. Chakshushaha, of Chakshu. Putraha, the son. Chakshushaha, Chakshusha. Nama, named. Vai, indeed. Manu, Manu. Puru, Puru. Purusha, Purusha. Sajumna, Sabjumna. These are all names of people. Pramukha, headed by. Chakshusha Atmaja, the sons of Chakshusha. The son of Chakshu, known as Chakshusha, was the sixth Manu. He had many sons, headed by Puru, Purusha, and Sajumna. Okay, so I didn't put on the big screen the rest of the verses, so I'll just read the translations. So number 8, translation. During the reign of Chakshusha Manu, the king of heaven was known as Mantra Druma. Among the demigods were the Apyas, and among the great sages were Himishman and Viraka. In the 6th Manvantar millennium, Lord Vishnu, the master of the universe, appeared in his partial expansion. He was begotten by Raja in the womb of his wife, Deva Sambhuti, and his name was Ajita. A partial expansion. Okay. By churning the ocean of milk, Ajita produced nectar for the demigods, and in the form of a tortoise, he moved here and there, carrying on his back the great mountain known as Mandara. It's a big turtle. He was an Kurma. He's an incarnation of the Lord. King Parikshit inquired, O great Brahmana, Shukadev Goswami, why and how did Lord Vishnu churn the ocean of milk? For what reason did he stay in the water as a tortoise and hold up Mandara mountain? How did the demigods obtain the nectar, and what other things were produced from the churning of the ocean? Kindly describe all these wonderful activities of the Lord. My heart, which is disturbed by the 3 miserable conditions of material life, is not yet sated with hearing you describe the glorious activities of the Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the master of the devotees. That's what sated means. I think it's satiated, maybe. Sri Sutta Goswami said, O learned Brahmanas assembled here at Naimisharanya, when Shukadev Goswami, the son of Dvaipanaya, that's Vyasadeva, was thus questioned by the king, He congratulated the king and then endeavored to describe further the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay, well, I won't mention much until we read the one more verse that has a purport. Sukadeva Goswami said, when the Asuras with their serpent weapons severely attacked the demigods in a fight, many of the demigods fell and lost their lives. Indeed, they could not be revived. At that time, O king, the demigods had been cursed by Durvasa Muni. At that time, O king, the demigods had been cursed by Durvasa Muni. The three worlds were poverty-stricken, and therefore ritualistic ceremonies could not be performed. The effects of this were very serious. Okay. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. It is described that while Durvasa Muni was passing on the road, he saw Indra on the back of his elephant and was pleased to offer Indra a garland from his own neck. Indra, however, being too puffed up, took the garland and without respect for Durvasa Muni, he placed it on the trunk of his carrier elephant. The elephant, being an animal, could not understand the value of the garland, and thus the elephant threw the garland between its legs and smashed it. Seeing this insulting behavior, Durvasa Muni immediately cursed Indra to be poverty-stricken, bereft of all material opulence. Thus the demigods, afflicted on one side by the fighting demons, and on the other side by the curse of Durvasa Muni, lost all material opulence in the three worlds. To be extremely opulent, Jai Shashi Gauranitai, Shashi Radha, Brajabihari, Jagannath, Balaram, Lady Subhadru, and Shugade Prahlad Maharaj Ki Jai. To be extremely opulent in material advancement is sometimes very risky. The materially opulent person does not care about anyone, and thus he commits offenses to great personalities, such as devotees and great saints. This is the way of material opulence. As described by Sukadeva Goswami, Dana Durma Danda. Too much wealth makes one blind. This happens even to Indra in his heavenly kingdom, and what to speak of others in the material world. When one is materially opulent, he should learn to be sober and well-behaved towards Vaishnavas and saintly persons, otherwise he will fall down. So people, they aspire to become very, very wealthy, but the problem is, many times, someone becomes very, very wealthy, you think, money can buy anything, you can do anything, you can say anything, and because you've got money, you get away with it. But you don't always get away with it, because because you're becoming puffed up with false pride, you do things, and ultimately that great wealth may be taken away from you. But the same karma that you got it by, you destroy that good karma, and then you're suffering. Sometimes people in this lifetime who may be very poor, maybe last lifetime they may have been very rich. It's hard you can't exactly trace karma because it's very complicated. But if someone was very rich and they acted very inappropriately, then Krishna, by his mercy, he'll put them in a situation where they where everything's taken away, and then they have to become humble again. If they're fortunate enough to get a human form of life, of course, which is not guaranteed. So Durvasa Muni, he's a very powerful sage who also gets angry very easily. He does. He gets angry very easily, and he curses people very easily. But he's powerful. So and again, we have to take it that things that like this that happen, extraordinary things, these histories are showing up in the Srimad-bhagavatam, which means there's probably some higher arrangement he made so that Durvasa Muni took that as offense the way he did, and he made the curse, and then there's so many things that come as a result of that we have as examples to teach us how to act, so we can learn what to do and what not to do. But here, as far as the history goes, Durvasa Muni got very offended because his flower garland. It's just like if we took Srila Prabhupada's flower garland and gave it to someone trying to be nice. Oh, here, take Srila Prabhupada's flower garland, and they put it around their dog's neck, and the dog starts chewing it up. that would be well, maybe I'm not sure the village would take that. Maybe we would say, oh, the dog's getting prasadam. But anyway, Durvasa Muni, he took it as, I'm giving you this. This is a very high class garland because I wore it, and you give it to an elephant who just destroys it. So he took that as a very offense, and because being very powerful, so he actually made that curse. He actually cursed all. King Indra, he's the like the king of the demigods. He's up there, and he's making. He made Indra. How was this written here? So Indra becomes cursed in this way, bereft of all opulence. So that affected, because of his position, that affected all the demigods. So all the demigods in the heavenly planets, all their opulence, they lost it. They had nothing. And at the same time, they're fighting the demons and are losing the battle. So, which is another point there. Just like some people who know about higher planets, Vedic culture and Hindu ideas like this, they do so many things in this lifetime to try to get elevated to the heavenly planets, thinking I'll go there and I'll live for 10,000 years, 100,000 years, millions of years, in terms of what our years here. You're thinking like that, and then you go there, and they're thinking that I go there and everything will be this will be wonderful. It's like eternity. You can imagine. Thinking 10,000 years is 100 times, or more than 100 times our lifetime here. If we live 100 times 100 is 10,000. So it seems like a really wow. It's a very long time. It seems like almost eternity in the concept. So so when they think like that, let me go to the heavenly planets, and then everything will be very nice. But here are the demigods who are on the heavenly planets, and they get problems. When things are going good, they have very nice opulence. Everything, they can be very happy. But when things go bad, the whole kingdom, they can be kicked out of those heavenly planets. They may be sent running or flying, going somewhere, just to get protection from the demons, because the constant struggle between the devotees and the demons. So they did that. Um, and here we may think like that. Srila Prabhupada gives the example, just like a person in the ghetto, the low, the poor part of the city. People are sometimes don't even have houses to live in. They have cardboard houses, maybe, and they're living there, and they may be thinking, oh, how nice it would be to be in one of those, be rich and be one of those big opulent houses. They hear about these houses that people pay $50 million for a house like that, very, very opulent place. And okay, if I had that, I would be so happy. So they're thinking like that. And they may never get a chance to experience it in this lifetime, but they're thinking like that. So same way, people who know about heavenly planets and they read about the material situation there, they think, oh, if I could go there, there would be so much happiness. An unbelievable amount of happiness. I mean, no problems. But we're reading here that those who are there, sometimes, if they act improperly, then they have a lot of problems. They can be kicked out of their material situation, as the demons are in the process of doing this, kicking everyone out. No opulence, no ability to properly fight the demons, and you lose everything. So, and then there's always that fear that this could happen. So that's a point here. And so on one hand, devotees, and it doesn't mean that you can't be a devotee and have money. You cannot. It doesn't mean you can't be rich. In fact, wealth should be in the hands of devotees, serious devotees, who will use that money nicely in Krishna service. That's where the wealth should be. Because if someone is not devotee, if someone's not religious, and they've got money, the money will certainly be used for material sense gratification, sometimes very evil sense gratification. And Srila Prabhupada says, it's in a lecture or a conversation, I don't remember, it's in a book called the Science of Self-Realization, which has a lot of articles and sometimes lectures, different things that Srila Prabhupada said, compiled together. So he said, he's explaining that a person who is, in this lifetime, they're born, or maybe born with a lot of wealth, or maybe it came very easily in their life. He says that wealth that they're getting, why do they have it? He says it's because of their past devotional activities. He says devotional activities, and the idea is that if we have wealth, we ought to have a good material situation because of past devotional activities. If we have that, the idea is that so we can live comfortably, peacefully, not spending all our time and energy just struggling to survive, because it's very hard to think about anything, spiritual life or anything else. And every day you're just going around and looking through garbage cans and trying to find, leftover food to eat. If you spend your time like that, then it's very difficult to concentrate on higher knowledge. So someone easily has sufficient money, sufficient wealth, then it's much easier to put your energy into higher knowledge. I'm satisfied. I have what I need. I have food. I have clothing. I have a house, a shelter. I have maybe I've got good education, good opportunity for education. He's got these things. He's satisfied, and then of course the soul is still going to look for more, but you're not distracted by the material, you know, the need for material objects, the material gain. So and Krishna explains about that situation in Bhagavad Gita. Arjuna asked Krishna that what happens to the yogi who gives up the practice of yoga before the end of his life, and what happens to him? Is he just destroyed by they call it like a ribbon cloud? I guess it means a cloud after the rain's all out and the cloud disappears. So what happens to all the benefit and gain that he got by practicing yoga if he did not finish it in that lifetime? And Krishna says there are two possibilities. If he practiced yoga for a short time and then he gave up, maybe gave up because of material desires, then he could either be elevated to the heavenly planets where they get material enjoyment, which means you gave up yoga because you had some material desires. So maybe you put for a lifetime in a very good situation materially, so you have it and at the same time get frustrated because you realize that's not. This is not satisfying. So you may get that, or they may be born in a very good material situation, so you can have all the necessities of life, and then you'll still be looking for something higher because you're still not satisfied. You're still not satisfied in life with those material things. So you have, but you're not struggling day by day just to have the money to eat and so on. So this either way can happen for someone who's made some advancement, not so much advancement before they gave up the path of Krishna consciousness or yoga. We say Krishna consciousness because we call it Bhakti yoga. So he gives that. He says that there's that possibility. And if someone gave up, but they worked very hard, and it was just, they made a lot of spiritual advancement, but still they dropped out. Such a person will probably take birth in the family devotees, which means that from the time you're born, you're getting prasadam, you're hearing the holy names chanted, you're being taught as soon as you can learn anything. Can you say Krishna? Come on, baby. Krishna, Krishna. You can see the baby will respond like that. And in that way, from the very beginning of that child's life, they're being encouraged to become God conscious, like that. Or sometimes it may be in another religious path that they're being taught that religious path because of their past activities. So both ways can happen. So whatever our situation is in this lifetime, we've taken up the path of Krishna consciousness, whether it was very difficult before materially or easy before materially. It doesn't matter so much now, but we've taken up the path of Krishna consciousness, and we should take it up very seriously, because if we become lax in our attempt to become Krishna conscious, if we become lax, then we can lose everything. We can, of course, you don't really lose everything in a sense, because whatever advancement we make, we don't lose that advancement, but it could become covered for some time. If we chant Hare Krishna so much, we have so much prasadam, we do so much devotional service, it all goes into our Hare Krishna bank account, spiritual bank account. Krishna keeps track. Prabhupada says Krishna is an accountant. He's an accountant. He's counting everything that we do, especially every Krishna conscious thing that we do. He's keeping a record of that, and he'll help us to become more and more Krishna conscious. So whatever advancement we make, then we will keep that with us, and we will continue next lifetime, at least next human lifetime. Hopefully, it's a very unfortunate situation to fall down into the lower species of life, and it can happen. It can happen just like the example of Bharata Maharaj. Bharata Maharaj. He was king. He was very, very advanced devotee, and he actually voluntarily acted in such a way that he fell down from having a human form of life. He took birth as a deer. You know that history? Bharata Maharaj and becoming a deer? No. Okay. So this king, who the India is known, besides being known as India, originally it was known as Bharata Varsha. Bharata Varsha means named after him. So he was the emperor of the entire world, and he was a very, very big king. But he was also a very big devotee. He was very advanced in Krishna consciousness. So at an early age, I don't know what age, but he was young, and he had family, and he wasn't like he was getting anywhere close to dying, but he decided, he renounced being king, turned it over to his sons, and he just went off, left everything, left all his opulence, left all his kingly situation, and he went off to the forest or to the mountains, and somewhere by himself, built a little hut, and was practicing Krishna consciousness by himself. Of course, we say you need association. Srila Prabhupada says like that. But anyway, he was very advanced, and he was advancing. Then, again, some situation was created for us to learn from. So he's off there by himself, and of course he's a very kind-hearted person. He's a devotee. So he saw one time when he was near his hut, he saw a deer, mother deer, who was about ready to give birth. There was a baby called a fawn, I think they call it. She was almost very close, but she was being chased by a lion. So she was being chased by a lion, and she ran, but she was so close to giving birth, so the baby, her offspring, just came out and fell in the river. She maybe got away, but the baby was left there. She got away. Maybe the deer was killed. I don't remember. She was being chased. So Bharata Maharaj saw this, and of course he's a devotee. He was very compassionate to this situation. So he took the baby. The mother was gone, and he started taking care of the little deer. and feeding it and becoming very intimate with it, scratching its ears and you know, just being nice to him. It became like it finally got to the point he's referring to the deer as a male deer, I guess. So he's referring, you're just like my son. You're just like you're very attached to this deer. And the deer grew up, and every day would go off and eat whatever they did during the day, and would come back at night. And at night, where he was, there were no street lights. It was dark. It was very dark. So one night, this deer did not come back, and he'd become very attached. Just like if you have a 5-year-old kid, and he's walking around, and then it gets dark, and all of a sudden, where are you? Where's the and you start getting anxiety, especially if you're out there and there's wild animals and there's dangerous places, and so he's thinking, if I don't go out and save this deer, I've got to get protection. So he was thinking like that, and it was dark, without street lights and so on, no flashlights, no street lights, and so he's walking around in complete darkness, looking for the deer, and then he's up off in the mountains, so he actually stepped over a cliff, and he fell. He fell. He killed himself. He died. Looking for this deer, totally absorbed in the thoughts of this deer. And so, as Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, from get the Sanskrit right off, but whatever one is thinking at the time of death, about nature, they will obtain. Whatever we're thinking. So he was definitely very much absorbed in the thoughts of this deer that he felt had no protector except for him. Very, very attached to him. So he was totally thinking like that. So he died thinking of the deer. So what happens? He took birth as a deer. He took birth as a deer. But because he was very, very advanced in spiritual life, then he was allowed, although this doesn't usually happen, but he was allowed to remember his previous life. He remembered what the mistake he made. And so now here he is stuck in this deer body. He can't practice it. Deer can't chant japa and do these things that he would have done in his human body. He can't do it. So the deer, as a deer, he just had to wait. But knowing his situation from the past life, he found some saintly persons, and every day they're off in the area, and they're sitting down, and they're having their Srimad-bhagavatam class. So Srimad-bhagavatam's been around a long time. They're having all their discussions, and their prayers, and their devotional singing, which we'll get into some soon. They're doing all these things, and although he couldn't very much participate because he was a deer at this point, but he would listen, and he would whatever food that was left from their food, they'd put their leaf plates aside. There's no paper plates and styrofoam boxes now. They put their plates aside, and he would come and he would eat whatever there was. So he would eat their remnants, which is spiritually very good. He would hear them chanting. He would hear them discussing Srimad-bhagavatam, like that. And he spent his whole life doing like that, just trying to absorb himself in Krishna consciousness, do what he could do. in that lifetime, because he didn't have a human form. And then in due course of time, that dear life ended. And when that dear life, that life as a deer ended, when that life as a deer ended, then he took another birth. This time he was born in a Brahmana family. He was known by the name Judd Bharat. But he remembered his previous two lives. The life when he was in meditation, then the life as a deer, and then he's again has a human form of life. And as Judd Bharata, he said, there's no way, he decided, there's no way I'm going to allow myself to get entangled in any family life. No way. Because I made a mistake before, I ended up as a deer. I'm not going to make this mistake again. So he he was actually very, very spiritually advanced there. But nobody knew because he didn't speak. They thought he was unable to speak. He didn't speak to anyone, and he acted like he could hardly hear anything. His father was constantly trying to teach him. His father teaches the son. Here's what you should do. Here's how you should act. Here's the right thing to do and the wrong thing. Whatever his father taught him, he made a point intentionally to do something different. And he's just saying, as though I can't hear, I can't speak, and I can't understand anything. And so he gave him. Still, his father, his father. He loved him. His brothers didn't like him, but his father still was trying to help him. So then the father dies in due course. Then he's there with his brothers, and so they didn't know what to do with him. They just put him out in the field to watch. I think they had sheep. You just sit out here and you watch the sheep, and we'll carry on our religious activities. And they thought it was just useless, like an idiot, like a moron. So they left him like that. And then one day he was captured. He allowed himself to be captured, actually, by these worshippers of Kali worshippers. Goddess Kali? Goddess Kali? Okay. So Goddess Kali, those who follow like to offer her animal sacrifices. At that time, that was the thing. You kill an animal, you offer it to get some kind of material benefit. So these people, they didn't have a regular animal, but they figured this guy is just like a man animal. They calculated like that. He's no better than an animal. He may have a human body, but so they got him, tied him up, took him wherever to the goddess Kali temple. They performed the ritual, bathing and some ritual, and they were just about ready to take a big chopper and kill him and offer him or offer his blood to the goddess Kali, thinking that they would please the goddess Kali. And by the way, the goddess Kali is actually a devotee of the Lord, but this is a service she does for those who have other kind of desires. But she's actually a devotee herself. You would never know it by the way she acts. So she's a devotee of the Lord. So they were trying to get her mercy, to get some material benefit. And she knew that Jadvarata was a great devotee of the Lord, and she was not in any way going to tolerate them coming and killing him. And so when they were just about ready to offer their head as a sacrifice to her, she personally, in her original form, broke out of her deity form of Kali. Deity, because we have deities here, so there's a deity form of Kali that they were going to do the sacrifice in front of. And she broke out. The deity smashed to pieces. And she came there with all of her weapons and choppers and all, she has, and she started chopping up all those people that had brought him there, chopping off their heads, throwing their heads here and there. She had her witch followers and like that. This is all described in Srimad-bhagavatam, by the way. I'm not making this up. This is not from Hindu comic book or something. This is actually it's here in the Srimad-bhagavatam. So they're doing all this, but the point is that she would not allow them to hurt this devotee. So after she completely annihilated all the worshippers, her worshippers, who were going to kill a devotee to offer to sacrifice to her. Oh, by the way, and she doesn't eat meat. The goddess Kali is actually a vegetarian, but her associates they like blood, those kind of things. So if someone wants to offer to her these kind of things, she's not accepting it. It's going to others who are assisting her. Because they don't understand. They're thinking that she wants this, but okay. They don't understand. I mean, who's ever actually asked Goddess Kali, do you actually like this that I'm giving you? They're getting some material benefit, and the material benefit. The material, get late, but the material benefit, and we'll put off the rest of this Judd Bart story. There's another chapter of that. But the material benefit in Vedic culture, Vedic scriptures give knowledge for everyone to do basically anything you want. You can get that through the Vedas. So it's very much discouraged from eating meat in your Vedic culture. It's very much discouraged to eat meat. But still, there are people, even then, that we're going to do it, no matter what. You're not supposed to, but they want to do it. So Vedas give some method by which you can, if you're really, really, really inclined in that way, okay, you do it, but you worship the goddess Kali. You take some animal, not a human being. You take some animal, maybe a goat, maybe something. It says a useless animal, an animal that's not really valuable in society. And you perform the ritual. You bathe the animal. I don't know the whole ritual, but the most important part is when you have to personally kill the animal. You don't just buy some meat in the butcher shop. They says, yeah, I have a deity of Kali here, so anything that you buy here is Kali Prasad. Like that. It doesn't work that way. They would actually, if you wanted to eat meat, is one night a month, particular night in the month, in the goddess Kali temple, with always certain specific animals. You would perform this. And just before you personally were going to kill that animal, and there's some restrictions and all that on how you do all this. But before you did that, you had to say, it's probably in Sanskrit verse, which I don't know Sanskrit, but you're saying something that because I'm so sinful and I can't control my senses, so now I'm going to kill this animal in front of you as a sacrifice to you, but I understand that in my next lifetime, I'm going to come back as an animal like this, and they're going to kill me in the same way. And it actually happens like that. Because if you just kill the animal and eat meat, then it's worse. So you actually you're reducing the reaction by doing it this way. But the whole idea is that your the whole idea is a restriction. Everything in Vedic culture, all kinds of sense gratification is restricted. Just like Varnashram, Brahmachari, there's no sex. Grihastha, there's some opportunity, but it has to be, only for having children and so on like that. There's a restriction. Vanaprastha, no sex. This is after like retired family life. Vanaprastha. And sannyas, there's definitely no sex. So three out of 4 ashrams in Vedic culture, none. So this is an example of restriction. So here, the idea is not to encourage animal slaughter and all this, but rather that if you're going to do it anyway, you do it this way, and then as a result, by you doing it this way, and you killing the animal yourself, and you saying and hopefully believing the fact that you're going to be killed, so they're going to be cutting your throat in the next lifetime. You're going to have to take birth as a goat or something in the next lifetime, and they're going to cut your throat the same way, and you're only able to do this one night in a month anyway. Then you think, is it really worth eating meat? Is it really worth it? So much trouble to get a little bit of meat, and I got to go through all this, and next lifetime I still have to pay for it. Is it really worth it? The conclusion, hopefully, after not too many times, they're going to say, hey, enough. Let me just be vegetarian like most of the people, like that. So it's there. So they were doing this to Jad Bharata, and the goddess Kali killed them all. And then he went on with the next chapter of his life, which I can't get into right now because it's getting really late. Any questions?
Yes, so I just wanted to ask about this transition, as you just mentioned. For example, so in this case, he used to be a deer, then he became human, and he, for the rest of the people, he looked like he had an autism or something. He couldn't speak very well, or he pretended to be deaf.
And it's Jad Bharata, yeah.
Yes, but genuinely, when it's happening like this, if a person transitioning, either soul transitioning from the plant life to animal and then to human, so would that be somehow reflected in this current life, in the human life? Would he have some kind of disabilities or something?
And actually following.
For example, person, the soul used to be an animal, had an animal form in the previous life.
Yes.
Now he's a human. Somehow would he get
some disability?
Or some
not necessarily.
Like animal.
He didn't have any disability. He was just a show.
Like traits or something. I don't know.
This is all a show for him. He was hiding. He was hiding. He was actually very highly intelligent, probably more qualified than his family members, but he did not want to take a chance of getting entangled in some family life again. It's like he got attached to the deer and he got in trouble. But
he wanted just to attach to his family, current family.
He didn't want to get attached to anyone. He said, he was almost going back to Godhead 2 lifetimes back before he became an animal. He was almost, he would have certainly gone to the spiritual world, but he did like that. So we understand that he was not an ordinary soul, and he went through this. So we're learning something from it. But we also can take that and have that problem. If we become too attached to material things or to material animals, become just like my own child. If we become too much, and we're thinking like that at the time of death, we can be in problem. Now, maybe not. Krishna will let us remember our mistake. I can't say how that would go, but it's possible. It is possible. Even you practice Krishna consciousness. So So we should be careful. Be careful. Not doesn't mean that we hate animals, but we don't. We shouldn't. He became so totally absorbed in that animal. It's just like he was like he basically what happened was he neglected his spiritual activities. He was so absorbed, so in anxiety about taking care of this animal. He felt it was totally dependent on him that he was not. He gave up his all his devotional activities. That's the problem. Not that you're nice to feed a. Just like we have a peacock around here, which we probably shouldn't be feeding because they are still wild animals. And they get pretty vicious if they don't understand what you're doing. But like that.
But I mean, for example, some kids are born with autism
Uh,
diagnosis or something. So
yes.
I don't know. Is there any way to explain this? Why some people are born like that?
Oh, it's karma. I mean, I can't exactly the specific kind of karma and exactly what they did or didn't do in a previous lifetime. I, there's no way to really exactly explain it. maybe somebody was. Um, I mean, and autism is pretty varied too. There's a lot of autism is not just one thing. It's like many different kind of symptoms. So, but maybe someone was caused some kind of problem for someone in a previous lifetime, causing their disturbance in their life, and now they take another birth and they have to deal with some problem as a result of what they did previously. Exactly I can't say, but karma is actually very just. We just don't understand it. You know, yeah, I can't tell you specifically what someone may have done or may not have done. I know someone was very became too puffed up or something, having a lot of money, and in the next lifetime they might, by their Lord's arrangement, they may be born in a very poor situation, and then they start thinking, "Oh God, please help me! God help me! God help me!" And they start beginning to pious, a little religious. So that is, but the exact details. Yeah, it's nothing that I can. It's not like every detail this can be explained uh, like that. So I can't say, but it's all under Krishna's arrangement, all under Krishna's control, or at least under Krishna's control through his material energy. But there's very specifics. I I can't say exactly. I can't say. But like I always um, encourage, we're here, got a human form of life. We know about chanting Hare Krishna. We know about avoiding the sinful activities. We know what the purpose of life is, and we know where do we get more knowledge. Srimad-bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, Nectar Devotion, and so on. We know all these things, so we've got it. So dedicate our lives to Krishna's service. That's all. We just dedicate our life to the Lord's devotional service. Don't make the same mistake that Bharata Maharaj did and become so entangled in anything, not just in a case it was with an animal, but don't become so entangled in something in material life that you give up your body and you forgetting about and neglecting spiritual life. If we continue our spiritual life, we keep chanting, we keep following the principles, we keep on the devotional path, make that our primary goal in life, our real goal in life. Other things we may have to do, but that's a real goal in life. And we do that to the end, then we can go back to Godhead. And that doesn't mean that you can't have a job or family. Family hopefully will be a devoted, situation. But you have a job, we have to do what you have to do. We have to do what we have to do. But we do those things, but the goal this is what's important for me, and this is stuff I have to take care of to just survive, because we got a material body. So we keep like that, and keep the devotional activities the top and center. Then by doing that, then we can go finish up in this lifetime and go back to the spiritual world, go back home, back to Godhead in this lifetime. And better than don't plan that. Okay, I'll make a little advancement now, and then I'll enjoy it, play around a little bit, and then I'll be in a better position, heavenly planets or rich family or something. Because as long as we're in the material world, there's always that chance of getting into bad association, and by bad association, we can change our own activities.
Or we can just forget about it.
Or forget about it. And if we have a real internal desire is, Krishna, just don't bother me. Okay, he won't bother you. And you can go for a lifetime after lifetime after lifetime, having no interest in God. It can happen that way. So we need to constantly cultivate our desire to become Krishna conscious and to remain Krishna conscious. And whatever other work we do, whatever else we have to do in our life should be centered around what is favorable for me to become Krishna conscious. Just like when my wife and I were married, we moved right across the street from the temple. We could have gotten a place twice as big and for half the price, in Broward County somewhere. But the point was, the temple was here, and we wanted to be sure we were here every day doing as much service as we could. Even if and at that point, we were both going to have jobs outside, expecting. But we'd be nearby so we could come every day. That was the whole point. And of course, Krishna is taking care like that. But the goal was that. The priority is that, and everything else you kind of deal with. You do what you have to do. But the primary goal should be to become Krishna conscious. It's after 9 o'clock already. Question? And no other questions online. So we'll have to end here for now. And tomorrow's Friday. It's Friday is Srila Prabhupada Nectar Day. And we also have coming up very soon a disappearance day of actually an ISKCON devotee from way back. His name is Jayananda Prabhu. But we'll read about him then on that day. He was disciple of Srila Prabhupada. He's the one who gave Rath Yatra and ISKCON a kickstart. He did the first Rath Yatras, built the cart himself and everything. And he was a saintly person, and he dedicated everything, even his life savings. He had a little money. He gave it to Srila Prabhupada for printing books. So he did all this, and then but he got sick. He had cancer and stuff like that. And he died earlier in life. But Srila Prabhupada, it was significant that he passed away while Srila Prabhupada was still physically here in the world. As Srila Prabhupada said, because of his dedicated devotional activities, he has gone back home, back to the spiritual world. So this is one only devotee I know of that Srila Prabhupada personally said he has gone, because most of us are getting old and leaving after Srila Prabhupada was here. In that particular case, Srila Prabhupada confirmed it from that devotee while he was there. So anyway, there's a history about him, and we'll read about that in the next couple of days. So I need to end here.